Aloha and welcome to Live at the Legislature on a rainy Tuesday morning across the state of Hawaii, where every week we bring you the news and bills and issues happening at the state capitol. With us this morning, we have Representative Nicole Lowen, who represents District 6, North Kona, and surrounding communities. She is the chair of the House Committee on Energy and Environmental Protection. Welcome, Representative Lowen. Good morning.
Good morning, James. Good to see you.
Good to see you. I want to start right in on your committee. That work is so important, and you are well known for your work to protect the environment and develop renewable and alternative energies in Hawaii. As the chair of your committee, can you tell us some of the important bills moving through and this session? What's happening this session?
Sure, thank you. Two things that the Committee on Energy and Environmental Protection is really focused on this session are, I would say, energy efficiency and looking at our transportation sector and how we can start to more quickly transition that off of fossil fuel. So for energy efficiency, this is an often overlooked but very, very important part of our transition to renewable energy. One bill that I'd like to highlight is requiring energy efficiency measures for all state facilities. So energy efficiency in buildings, or the energy use of buildings, is a huge part of our electricity use overall, and increasing energy efficiency in buildings can really reduce the consumption. And so I think starting with state facilities and having the state lead by example is a good way to push that forward. And there's a lot of opportunity for savings, job creation, and it's a available, ready technology, something we can do right now.
I'm surprised that hasn't happened already. It just seems to be common sense.
Yeah, some of it has some agencies have moved more quickly than others, but we are looking at pushing all of them to move in that direction. And that bill actually also includes that for any new construction of state facilities, that energy efficiency be built into the design process.
Would that move into the private sector as well, or is that down the road somewhere?
That bill in particular doesn't address the private sector. We've had different pieces of legislation in the past that look at that. A lot of that kind of mandate could also be included in building codes, which is at the county level typically, well, state and county, but the county is the one that really has to accept it into law.
It's just so important to move in that direction. Now, you mentioned transportation. Are we talking electric cars or other issues?
So for the transportation sector, this is over 2/3 of the oil we import goes to transportation. For the piece of it that we really have opportunity to do something about right now is transitioning our passenger vehicles. So that's where alternatives already exist on the market that are, similar in cost and represent the, opportunity to electrify some of the transportation sector and reduce costs for people over the long term. So similar to the building energy efficiency, one bill that we have moving on that focuses on transitioning state fleets for light duty vehicles. So again, this is the idea of having states lead by example, what we'd like to see in the private sector. And then another thing I think is really important is, excuse me, in 2019, we created a electric vehicle charging station rebate program that has been very successful. So we have a few different bills moving this session that are looking for different ways to ensure we have continued funding for that program, because a big part of this transition in the transportation sector includes building out the infrastructure for it.
Yeah, that's the critical point. I would love to have an electric car, but you got to have some place to charge it. And so, yeah, if we can move in that direction, I think that will really advance the use of electrical cars.
Yes.
In your district, what are some of the important issues for residents in North Kona?
I mean, I think right now, as it is across the state and the country, the concerns about the pandemic are, top priority. We are still, have a lot of unemployment. My district in particular is really heavily focused on tourism, so that has been hard hit. And, we continue on a daily basis just to take a lot of constituent calls and help people navigate whether it's unemployment or rental assistance and different kinds of programs that are available. So I would say that's probably top concern, along with, affordable housing continues to be an issue statewide and also in my district. And, then just infrastructure improvements and kind of those concerns that cut across every district. As far as the stuff that I work on in my committee, I did introduce a bill this session to consider what's called an extended producer responsibility program for plastic waste and packaging waste. And this is a big issue, an important issue in my district, because there have been cutbacks from the county recently and the recycling programs that are available at the county level. That's been something that's really upset constituents who are used to being able to recycle. And although that bill that I introduced is not alive now, I think we're going to continue to push this conversation. The idea of extended producer responsibility is to shift the responsibility onto producers and not onto, county budgets and taxpayers of each state. And that also creates incentive over time for products to be better designed and the amount of packaging and waste to be reduced.
Oh, it sounds like you're looking at the whole picture, the buildings, the roads, the packaging, all of the different things that we need to do to make Hawaii more energy efficient and to make the planet better, really. We do have a tight budget this year, though, and what are you hoping lawmakers will accomplish to help with secure public health and help the economy recover?
Yeah, it's a challenging session budget-wise, and I think it's really our responsibility to pass a responsible budget and not, shift all the cost off onto future legislatures and future generations. And that does mean tightening the belt in a lot of instances for right now. I think that we have to make sure we're funding our, kind of direct human services, health services, like the things that are so important in a pandemic and economic downturn, that I hope those remain high priority. And then I'd really like to see some things come out of this session where there's really some steps towards and focus on economic diversification. We've seen how disastrous it can be to be so dependent on a single sector like tourism. And that this isn't the first time that this has happened. And so it would be great to see some movement towards, whether that's expanding the agriculture sector in Hawaii, creating a, Job Corps for conservation. We did kind of a mini conservation corps, but it would be great to see that extended. Building out broadband statewide would be another important initiative to help with different, enable different kinds of economic growth in a lot of places. So I guess that's one thing I'd like to see us get something done on.
Yeah. And is your outlook hopeful, or you think we're going to struggle, or how are you seeing this long term?
We just found out yesterday, basically, or just in the past couple of days, that there is a new stimulus package coming from the federal government. I think that's going to be hugely helpful. So yeah, right. Today I'm feeling hopeful.
Oh,
and I guess it's not going to be an easy path to recovery. It's going to take some time, but were definitely times last year and months ago where things looked even worse than we feel like they look right now. So that's positive.
Okay, well, we're out of time this morning, but I want to thank you again, Representative Nicole Lowen, for being with us today and for your positive outlook and all your work on environmental issues.
Great. Thank you for having me.
Okay, aloha.
Aloha.
So what do you see?
A community that is engaged, empowered, a place where free speech is alive and well.
Tell me more.
For 30 years, thousands of local people on TV sharing their stories, culture, and viewpoints uncensored.
Uncensored? Where can that be?
Right here, my son.
Wow!
Isn't it time to empower your voice?
Interested in speaking up about which laws make sense for Hawaii? Want to really get active at the state legislature? Make sure that you've set up an account on the legislature's website, capital.hawaii.gov. All that's required is an email address. Then you can receive email hearing notices for specific bills or for certain committees, or submit written testimony and sign up to testify remotely, or set up a measure tracking list to keep on top of bills you're interested in. Need help? Contact the Public Access Room at 808-587-0478 or par@capital.hawaii.gov.
It's very important to have Melea'e here.
The experience of local artists that are going to be the future of our music here in Hawaii.
There's a huge music scene that is pretty underground.
This is a great platform to get seen. All genres that exist are out here, and there's people that love it and that are making it.
That gives us as young and even older musicians an opportunity to share our music that we never ever had before.
Aloha, and welcome back to the Senate segment of Live at the Legislature. My name is Jacob Aki, and this morning we're joined by Senator Bennette Misalucha. Senator Misalucha represents Senate District 16, which includes the areas of Pearl City and Aiea. Senator, thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Jacob. I do want to first also do a shout out and aloha to all my constituents in Aiea, Pearl City, and Halawa. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you, Senator. Senator, you were appointed to fill the Senate District 16 seat over the summer. You were elected in November, and this is your first legislative session. Although you've done the special sessions during the interim, this is your first full session. So I want to know, how is your session going so far?
You know, Jacob, I love it. There is really joy in service. I have a healthy respect for the legislative process, and may I just say, I have a newfound respect for my Senate colleagues who work so hard, who really want to deliver on their promise to their constituents. So this week, as you know, it's crossover. We're very busy. The bills that passed third reading on both Senate and House are going through the crossover. It's the midpoint of the legislative session. So in fact, today is our long third reading on the Senate floor. By the way, if you're interested to get an update on the bills, please either subscribe to my newsletter or you can go on capital.hawaii.gov.
Senator, as soon as you were appointed over the summer, you really hit the ground running. And since then, you've been very busy both here at the Capitol and at home in your district. What are some of the projects or things that are going on in your district that you've been working on?
Let me share with you a little bit about our priorities, Jacob, that we have introduced some bills on. First is digital access. You know, broadband is really important, especially to those disenfranchised communities. And so we've introduced bills related to that. We also have, of course, digital economy, because I think we need to pivot from and diversify our economy from tourism to other industries as well. So we also have introduced bills on financial literacy. But I'm excited about some resolutions that we will be introducing this week. As you know, Friday is the deadline to introduce the resolution. So let me name a few. We are introducing a bill condemning all racism, xenophobia, intolerance, discrimination, hate crime, and hate speech against Asian Americans. That seems to be really a sad reality for some of our cities, hopefully not too much in Hawaii, but we do want to make a statement about it. We are also going to be urging the DOE to include financial literacy education into the personal transition plan course requirement for each student. We're requesting the Hawaii Technology Development Corporation and Leeward Community College to study the feasibility of establishing technology academies at both IAEA and Pearl City. This is the exciting part. Hopefully we can get that accomplished. And last but not least, we're introducing a resolution to recognize Digital Inclusion Week in the state of Hawaii. So if you're interested, again, I want to keep on plugging the fact that if people want to become engaged in the process, do visit the Capitol website to see a list of all the resolutions that we've introduced.
Senator, I want to talk briefly about your efforts to provide broadband infrastructure to certain parts of your district. Like many communities across our state, COVID-19 has really made us realize that we really need to upgrade our broadband infrastructure. You have Halava Housing, which is one of the places in your district. Can you talk about that? Because I know you've been working hard with the Hawaii Public Housing Authority and some other groups to provide internet access to residents there.
Yes. So as you know, this is a process that probably the solution is more long-term. Halava, let me just provide some context of the conversation. There's about 250 units, about 900 residents, 40% of whom are like children. It is low income, and as a result of that, unfortunately, though, the infrastructure is they have thick walls, so there's no broadband. And when you mean broadband, it's underground cables. And so we are looking at hopefully a long-term solution wherein we're trying to engage the governor to probably do an audit of all the low-income housing that we have to establish what the needs are. But at the same time, I think there are short-term solutions that we're going to be working on, and more of that later on, Jacob. But I know you mentioned a little bit about the community activities that we're doing. We did several outreach at Halava Housing over the fall last year, November timeframe. We did a food distribution, and we also did a toy distribution there. The amazing part is how the community really gathered together to support it. You were there, and You saw how we had volunteers that really stepped up to deliver the food, because as you know, with COVID, we had some challenges in the delivery. We couldn't get people to gather, so we had to deliver door to door, and it was an amazing showcase of fellowship, of aloha. But also, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Senator. Go
yes,
ahead.
because I guess I'm also excited about other community events that are happening in our district very shortly. So last week, I attended a groundbreaking ceremony for the IAEA High School Girls Athletic Facility. And this is a $13 million renovation project. I want to thank actually the elected officials who really pushed hard for this. So the facility will include a new girls' locker room, and how appropriate that this was being inaugurated at a time when we're celebrating International Women's Month. So the existing locker only accommodates male student athletes. So this will provide equity and opportunity for our female students. Of course, this is part of Title IX initiative. I also want to share with you, Jacob, and the rest of our constituents that we will be partnering with Kanu Hawaii to create an inaugural IAEA Pearl City Community Heroes Award. There we will be commending and recognizing someone who have gone above the, really embodies the community core values. So this is going to be happening during Volunteer Week, which is April 18th to the 24th.
Thank you, Senator. We do have about a minute left, but I do want to cover one last topic. Thursday, March 11th, you and your fellow Pro City and IAEA legislators and council members will be hosting a Pro City IA town hall, which will be covering the topic of COVID-19. And some of the guests that you will be having will be Governor Ige, Health Director Libby Char. Can you just share, what is the purpose of this town hall and to promote the events to your constituents?
Sure. Thank you, Jacob, for that opportunity. So I'd like to invite our constituents of IAEA, Pearl City, and Lower Halava this Thursday, March 11, from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. We will have the IAEA and Pearl City legislators be there to welcome Governor David Ige. Governor Ige used to represent that district, so this is a district that's near and dear to his heart. We will also have Dr. Libby Char, Director of the Department of Health, and they will be discussing the current vaccination schedules as well as anything related to COVID. But they'll also be available to answer any questions that our constituents may have. Just note that registration is required. So if you're interested, please call my office, and the number is 586-6230. Again, 808-586-6230.
Well, for those of you who do live in the Pro City, IAEA, and Lower Halava area, I can say that is one town hall you won't want to miss. Senator, we are out of time, so I just wanted to say thank you for joining us, and good luck on the floor today. I know third reading is usually one of those longer sessions, but just wanted to thank you for the work that you've been doing for your district, and we will see you soon. And for those of you at home, please tune in next week at 8:30 a.m. on here at Live at the Legislature. Mahalo and aloha.
Mahalo, aloha.